Hey everybody, Brooks here, First Baptist Church of the Islands. Thank you for joining me for today's 5 for 5. So a little while back, the guy who comes to spray our house for pest control came, and he kind of did the work that he always does on the inside, then on the outside, and then he came back in order to get the check that we used to pay him. And he made an interesting comment to me. He said, "Hey, listen," he said, "outside of your house, you've got a bush that has overgrown," and it was really a small tree. And he said the limbs have come down to where they are touching the house, and you're going to need to do something about that. Otherwise, you're going to get rodents and critters entering your house, because that bush is giving access, it's giving an entry point for things that you don't want on the inside to make their way in. Well, needless to say, I ended up going out there and I started with this. I started with some hedge trimmers or pruners, and needless to say that I ended with a chainsaw. And it took some pretty big stuff to get this thing taken down, because I didn't want things that would keep me up at night wondering what was in my attic making all that noise. You know, there's a place in Scripture that's it's kind of interesting. It sort of equates to that to a degree, and it's actually in the book Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 15. And the context here is kind of like a betrothal. It's like an engagement in a sense. But listen to what it says. Even in a marriage context, I think there's another application to this as well. It says, "Catch the foxes for us, the little foxes that are ruining the vineyards while our vineyards are in blossom." It's an interesting principle there that they said to catch the foxes. They weren't afraid of like a band of marauders coming in and burning down the vineyards. They said, no, we're afraid of the foxes. They're going to come in undercover at night, eat a little bit here, eat a little bit there, and over time will destroy our vineyard. And in a lot of ways, you know what, we have to be careful of things in our life that if we don't deal with them, sometimes it's kind of with smaller ways, maybe some hedge trimmers. Other ways, we need to be drastic. We need to cut the things down that don't belong in our lives, because they give access to things that will destroy us. Maybe for you, it's in your marriage. Maybe there are some things that need attention. Maybe your time is getting away from you, and in your marriage, you don't have the time together for conversation like you once did. Or maybe outside of marriage, just in your own everyday life, what you found is that there are some things that are really giving the enemy somewhat of a foothold in your life. I remember watching the movie Courageous a number of years ago, and in that movie, the key person played by Kirk Cameron was a firefighter. And he had a tendency to go to websites that he didn't need to go to. And there was a scene where he drug his desktop computer out in the yard with a baseball bat. He just beat it into nothing. In other words, he took the chainsaw to it. He took a drastic step to eliminate what didn't belong. He cut the tree down that was letting wrong things into his life. And maybe for you, there are some changes that need to come. Maybe there are some things that you need to let go, and you need to adjust in your life in order to be most at a place where your life is most pleasing to God. I don't know what those things may be, but I would encourage you to give it some thought and to pray about it. And remember that it's not always the big, the marauding bands that come in that take us down. It's the little things that go unaddressed, sometimes in our minds, sometimes in our behaviors, that if we don't deal with them, they're going to do damage just the same as well. Hey, I hope you enjoy today's 5 for 5. Maybe even pass along to somebody who you think can benefit from it. Have a great day today.